What's up everyone, Kriss here from MTR Network. Today, I'm going to do a quick refresher and recap on the history of T'Challa, aka the Black Panther. Now, if you are a subscriber to our Character Corner podcast, then I'm pretty sure you've already heard us talk about this character in great lengths. We did a T'Challa Character Corner, I think right before he debuted in Civil War. There will be a link in the description of this video if you haven't listened to this. You definitely want to go and listen to that. It's going to go into way more detail than what I'm about to do here. Because for this one, I'm just going to do a quick summary of all that, and I'm going to do the best I can to kind of sum up all the major points and issues and quickly hit them as quickly as possible. So I'm trying to keep it under 20 minutes, so here we go. Alright, so we start in the Stan Lee Jack Kirby era with T'Challa's first appearance in Fantastic Four number 52 in July 1966, where he takes on the first family in Marvel, attacking them to see if they're worthy enough to help him. Like, all things considered, this was pretty fucking good. It's pretty significant when you think about it. I mean, here you have the first family of Marvel, the Fantastic Four, taken down by the first mainstream African or African-American character in comics. T'Challa beats Falcon by 3 years, Luke Cage by 6, Blade by 7, and DC's John Stewart by 5 years. Black Panther is a ceremonial title given to the chief of the Panther tribe of Wakanda. It doesn't necessarily have to fall to the ruler of the nation. T'Challa's father T'Chaka was king in Black Panther before he was murdered by Ulysses Klaue. Whoever holds the title of Black Panther is allowed to eat the special heart-shaped herb, which is combined with its mystical connection to the Wakanda Panther god, grants the Black Panther superhuman senses, enhanced strength, speed, agility, and stamina. T'Challa himself is a skilled hunter, strategist, politician, scientist, and has a PhD in physics from Oxford. He's one of the smartest people in the Marvel Universe. Give credit where credit is due. For Stan Lee and Jack Kirby to not only create a new character that was an African king, but one who also ruled a nation that was far superior in technology to anything Western civilization, and do that in 1960s, it was pretty amazing. And not just that, but then to have that character best the Fantastic Four in their own book was something that was way ahead of its time. Now, T'Challa later joins the Avengers in Avengers 52, and is seen in those comics for the next few years. This is also when we get the first appearance of his on-again, off-again love interest, Monica Lynn, who appears in Avengers 73 in 1970. Monica was an African-American singer from Georgia who met T'Challa in New York when he saves her from the Sons of the Serpent, thus beginning a long on-again, off-again relationship that even leads to an engagement. It's then tragically thrown away, but I'll get into that later. Don McGregor then begins a new series called Jungle Action, and in Jungle Action number 5, it becomes the first series in which T'Challa got his first starting feature. Don McGregor wrote a truly underrated run for T'Challa. Seriously, if you can find the 6 issue, actually from issue 6 to 22 of Jungle Action, you should go find them and read them. The second and final act of that is called Panther vs. the Klan, and T'Challa literally fights the Klan. For the time period, the 1970s, it's truly unprecedented. You gotta go find this shit. It's truly amazing. The great Dwayne McDuffie said this about this run. This overlooked and underrated classic is arguably the most tightly written multi-part superhero epic ever. If you can get your hands on it, sit down and read the whole thing. It's damn near flawless. Every issue, every scene, a functional necessary part of the whole. Okay, now go back and read any individual issue. You'll find seamlessly integrated words and pictures and clearly introduced characters and situations, a concise and sometimes transparent recap, beautifully developed characters and relationships, at least one cool new villain, a stunning action set piece to test our hero's skills and resolve, a story that is always moving forward to a definitive and satisfying conclusion. That's what we should all be delivering every single month. Don McGregor and company did it in only 17 story pages per issue. Now, low sales of Jungle Action led to Marvel launching Black Panther as its self-titled series that ran for 15 issues. Black Panther Volume 2 would then be a 4-issue miniseries. So before we move on to Volume 3, let's talk about some key issues for some classic Black Panther villains that we know will be appearing in the movie coming in. Fantastic Four number 53 is the first appearance of Ulysses Klaue. T'Challa tells the Fantastic Four the story of how Klaue led an attack on Wakanda that ended up killing his father. T'Challa turns Klaue's weapon against him, taking Klaue's hand. Klaue returns to Wakanda with a sonic emitter on his hand and faces off against the Fantastic Four and T'Challa, who easily defeat him. Jungle Action number 6 features Erik Killmonger. Originally named Najadaka, his father was forced to help Ulysses Klaue attack Wakanda and was exiled for it. He moves to Harlem, New York, changes his name to Erik Killmonger, and while he eventually is repatriated back into Wakanda, he's always going to subvert T'Challa's rule. Avengers number 62 is the first appearance of M'Baku, Man-Ape, who is second only to T'Challa in terms of being Wakanda's greatest warriors. He leads the outlawed white gorilla cult and gains his powers by killing a white gorilla, bathing in his blood, and eating his flesh. Look, I won't lie. I'm a little disappointed he's not wearing his classic costume in the movie. And look, I totally get why you cannot see a black man wearing a giant albino ape, on screen. But try to tell me that seeing somebody wearing a giant albino ape as a costume wouldn't be fucking cool. I'm sorry, I get it. You can't fucking do it. But I kind of wanted them to do it. Alright, let's move on to Volume 3. In 1998, Christopher Priest wrote The Black Panther Volume 3. For most people, this is the series that I think got them interested in Black Panther. Now, if you listen to any of our character corners or the comic book club discussions we've had on this, then I've talked about how problematic this series can get. It gets very, very hotep-y. It does. And there's definitely some problematic things, but we'll get into that. But I want to also make it very, very clear that this series was revolutionary. And it's really the foundation for not just how we view T'Challa, but the nation of Wakanda. It's that serious and that important. So it definitely has a place in, Black Panther history. First, Priest introduced us to the Dora Milaje, aka Adored Ones. These were two young women from rival tribes in Wakanda that were the ceremonial wives in training of T'Challa. But the reality was, they were his kick-ass personal bodyguards that could make short work of just about any threat. This is the first appearance of Okoye and Akia, and let me tell you, they were pretty badass. Seriously, they were probably one of the things that stands out the most when you first start Christopher Priest's run. It's truly amazing. So, yeah, there's no way you can't like them. The next thing that Priest did was expanding the political nature of Wakanda and why T'Challa is a king, and that's different from just being a superhero. The start of Volume 3 focuses on a former farmer now going by the name of Asherbe, with the help of the demon Mephisto toppling Wakanda's government and trying to take it over from T'Challa. What we get from this point on is basically a political thriller with T'Challa juggling his duties as Black Panther, Avenger, and then trying to figure out who is really behind the attempt to steal Wakanda from him. It is literally just that. It is a political thriller, and that's the best way to put this at. Priest succeeds in virtually making T'Challa untouchable. In a way, you could say T'Challa's like Marvel's Batman in this run. And I know some people might see that as an insult, but I mean that T'Challa is always cool, calm, collected, and always has a plan. There's plenty of times in this volume where it seems like T'Challa's on the ropes, but it's all part of some master plan. It's the Batman prep time argument, but on PCP. It's just it's amazing, and you sit. And there's even one point in Volume 3 where you even see the little dig. Not really a dig. I don't even know what you want to call it. It literally has Ross and T'Challa dress up as Batman and Robin in there. It is truly amazing, and it's fun. And it kind of, I think that it's not a shame to say that Priest did kind of take it from that point. You get some of the problematic natures of Batman out of the way, but T'Challa definitely feels just if Bruce Wayne wasn't crazy. Because let's be honest here, Bruce Wayne is crazy. Now that was a good but like I mentioned before, there's definitely some bad here. Well, I love the fact that we get the Dora Milaje being introduced. The reality is, I called them earlier two young women. They were two 16-year-old girls. And they were the ceremonial wives of T'Challa, and the way they were drawn makes them look like grown women. Then there's this whole thing with Nakia becoming infatuated with T'Challa and becoming a villain, and it's very, 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 very icky. Very icky. It also comes off very, very hotep-y, and overall the female characters just aren't done any justice. And speaking of justice, there's then Queen Divine Justice, and I'm just going to say no. Absolutely not. No. Just stop it there. We're not even going any further with that. Let's move on. The Priest run goes on for 62 issues and runs for about 5 years. We see a wide range of villains. We get an epic waterfall fight between Killmonger and T'Challa. Erik damn near kills T'Challa, takes over as Black Panther for a while. T'Challa spending time between Wakanda and the United States. It's a pretty sprawling series. It covers a lot here. The tail end of the series gets a bit weird with Casper Cole taking over as the new Black Panther. It's very, very weird. He starts off as an imposter, and then he takes over with T'Challa's blessing, then he becomes a White Tiger. There's a lot going on here. Again, you need to know about it, but I'm not going to say you need to read it, but, it's there. All right, now we're coming to Volumes 4 and 5, most of it written by Reginald Hudlin. Volume 4 starts out pretty well. Issue 1 starts a 6-part story called Who's the Black Panther? Hudlin starts by retelling the story of Wakanda and showing how Wakandans beat back attempt after attempt to infiltrate their society by the outside world. He even shows the unfortunate time in 1944 when Captain America comes across T'Challa's father, T'Chaka, as Black Panther and ends up being carried out of Wakanda like a sack of potatoes. The first 6 issues of the series are pretty strong and serve as a basis for the BET animated series that a lot of people have also watched as well. So there are 2 big retcons in these 2 volumes, and I think one of them turned out pretty good and one of them is just pretty horrible. Both come out of nowhere and they were executed poorly, but at least one of them kind of makes sense. Let's get the bad one out of the way, and it's no surprise. Listen. The Storm Black Panther romance was a really dumb idea. Before this volume, you couldn't name any significant moments between either character, as they were pretty isolated from each other. There's an issue or 2 in volume 3 that hints at it a little bit, but again, it just feels forced and out of left field. It just feels like, oh, 2 black characters appear popular, let's put them together. And then there's just 4 issues in this volume where literally the romance is just shoehorned in there. And we found out suddenly they had a connected romantic past. And then next thing you know, T'Challa's proposing. Like it erases Monica Lynn. It doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. It's forced. Look, I covered this on the last mailbag we did. And you can go into, I'll go into one more information about why I think it's terrible. But for this, let me go into one thing I think everybody forgets. The biggest problem I have with this relationship is Storm is a mutant. She's a leader of the X-Men, a mutant resistance group. If she marries T'Challa, she then becomes queen of not only the most advanced nation in the world, but one of the richest as well. So explain to me how she never really uses that clout and power to help her fellow mutants or at least the X-Men. I mean, shit, their mansion gets blown up every other fucking week. You mean tell me Wakanda doesn't have any technology for that shit? And it's hard to believe that the governments of the world are creating giant mutant hunting robots that attack the Queen of Wakanda and her friends, family, people, and T'Challa and Wakanda just said bye. By the time, Storm, and you gotta also think about it, by the time that Black Panther and Storm are married, a Rogue Sentinel has already wiped out 11 million mutants. And yet there's, Storm's always the one that has to reconcile her pulling double duty and never T'Challa. It's just really, really terrible. It doesn't make any sense. Out of all the post-marriage stuff, only Dwayne McDuffie's Fantastic Four run, when he wrote the 2, is the only one that kind of makes sense. And actually, I'm not even saying it makes sense. It's good. Dwayne McDuffie's run on Fantastic Four is where Storm and T'Challa have joined the team, while Sue and Reed work out on their marriage after Civil War. And it's literally the only time that their relationship makes sense. And one is because McDuffie, one's a great writer, and he also mirrored their relationship off of his own marriage to his wife. So it feels real. It doesn't feel like a gimmick. And that's what Storm and T'Challa always was. It was a gimmick. Plain and simple. The second retcon Hudlin does in Volume 4 is introduce Shuri, T'Challa's sister, to the comics. And again, it's another one of those just shoehorn things in it. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, why in all the other volumes have we never heard of him having a sister? Not even a hint, oh, she's off in America studying or something. No, she's just, all of a sudden she pops up. It's one of the defining weaknesses of Hudlin's runs. Things just happen. Why? Because. Who knows? Regardless of why, though, in this case, including Shuri overall makes sense, and it actually has a more lasting effect than the marriage. Shuri later becomes queen and Black Panther herself after an attack by Doom leaves T'Challa almost dead, and Wakanda without a leader. Before the end of Volume 4, when we get to that part, Volume 4 actually ends on a high note with Jason Aaron writing a 3-issue Secret Invasion tie-in that's pretty good. Let's put it this way. The Skrulls find out the hard way why Wakanda isn't an easy place to conquer. Here's the other thing too, listen, it's Jason Aaron, so you fucking read Jason Aaron. You fucking read that shit. Hudlin returned for the start of Volume 5, and this volume takes place during the Dark Reign period of Marvel, where Norman Osborn is president and things go to shit, to put it lightly. Namor tries to recruit T'Challa to the Cabal, secret council of supervillains, but T'Challa declines. Doom, knowing that T'Challa would say no, attacks T'Challa and leaves him in a comatose state. Shuri then takes over as Black Panther. Volume 5 is really about Shuri learning how not to only be Black Panther, but also the ruler of Wakanda. The side story is kind of T'Challa trying to rebuild himself. T'Challa takes this time to also rebuild the Dora Milaje. Again, the concept of those characters was always good, but I'll give Hudlin and others credit for expanding it and making them more of the defenders of the nation of Wakanda and not just T'Challa's personal bodyguards. T'Challa also starts dabbling in the mystical arts himself, knowing that Wakanda will need to fight in a new way to take on Doom. And this all comes to a head at the end of Volume 5. Keeping with the theme of things tending to be a little bit better in the hands of other writers, Volume 5 gets handed over to Jonathan Mayberry. The last 3 issues of Volume 5 are a prelude to Doom War. We see Shuri taking on Namor, and then everyone kind of realizing that they've been played by Doom, leading us right into Doom War. And Doom War is basically exactly what it sounds like. Doom puts together a new plan to take over the world, and for the most part, he kind of succeeds. His plan involves taking control of Wakanda's vibranium supplies. Look, we go into way more details on this in our third part of our character corner on Doctor Doom. You can definitely hit the link below. We'll link to it. Like, seriously, our 3-part Doom series is one of my favorite. Listen to that. We cover, matter of fact, we cover a lot of what I'm about to cover here, because it's a lot there. So it's really, there's a lot of overlap there. But definitely check that link below and you can get some more information on that. Now, I do think there are several significant things that happen in Doom War. 2 of my favorite are this. First, in issue 5, we get the first appearance of the Midnight Angels, the elite of the new class of Dora Milaje. T'Challa has trained this elite strike force, specifically trained to take on Doom and his Doombots. They're equipped with non-vibranium weapons and stealth suits, and they help Deadpool infiltrate Doom's base. And, well, look, Deadpool and the Midnight Angels, that is one crossover from the Disney Fox pending deal that I would love to fucking see. You put those 2 together, I got you. The next big thing that we get is that in order to stop Doom, T'Challa renders all processed vibranium inert. This is forcing Wakanda to have to deal with basically weaning Wakanda off their dependence of vibranium. It's a huge change for Wakanda, because up to this point, vibranium was the central piece of their economy, and now they don't have that anymore. In Black Panther, The Man Without Fear, T'Challa spends a little bit of time filling in for Daredevil in Hell's Kitchen as he kind of tries to find himself and deal with not having powers. Again, this is an important thing to note. At this point, the title of Black Panther belongs to Shuri, not T'Challa, and T'Challa does not have any power or connection to the Panther God. And he's not ruler of Wakanda, he's not Black Panther, he's pretty much just T'Challa. So now we get into some of my favorite stuff. If you can't tell, I'm really, really excited about this. We get into some of the Jonathan Hickman stuff. Now, if you haven't read Hickman's Fantastic Four run, and his later New Avengers run, and then the Secret Wars event, you really should. Just stop what you're doing right now, go read it, it's amazing. And while at its core, it's a Reed Richards and Victor Von Doom story, T'Challa still gets plenty of moments in it. First, in Fantastic Four 607 and 608, Hickman addresses having 2 Black Panthers, Shuri and T'Challa. The Panther God grants T'Challa his powers back and makes him King of the Dead, while Shuri remains ruler of Wakanda. Now, before continuing on into Hickman's story in New Avengers, let's go ahead and take a quick little detour into Avengers vs. X-Men in 2012 to really address what happened between Storm and T'Challa's marriage and why it broke up. Now, while it might seem like it came out of nowhere, the split between the two had kind of been brewing for a while. So as part of the storyline, a Phoenix-powered Namor kind of destroys Wakanda. And when Storm shows up to help, being the terrible lover and selfish brat he is, T'Challa also reveals that he's wiped out their marriage by having it annulled. So, you hear that, shippers who keep telling me that Storm and T'Challa are married? No, the marriage was annulled. She's not his wife. They're not married anymore, and as crude as it was, I'm gonna fucking allow it, because they never should have been married. It never should have happened to begin with. Storm deserves better, and honestly, the whole theme of AVX pretty much explains why. If they want to try to do it better going forward, then fine, but this was shit, and I'm so glad it's over and done with. On to Hickman's New Avengers run now. First, let me say this. Hickman's way of writing isn't for newcomers. Look, I love this run. I'm really, really excited. I love this stuff. I love talking about it. And I love the story that Hickman tells. This definitely is not the point to jump right in, though. I'm going to try to narrow this down as quickly to just the stuff concerning T'Challa and Wakanda, but this run deserves a whole discussion on its own, and we actually did a comic book club on this stuff, and it can get kind of confusing. Definitely can. So, anyway, So, New Avengers opens with T'Challa coming face to face with Black Swan as she's destroying another Earth that has appeared in the skies. T'Challa reforms the Illuminati, a group that he has turned down years before for being a bad idea. The group consisted of Iron Man, Captain America, Doctor Strange, Namor, and Black Bolt. There was also had Charles Xavier on it, but he's dead now, so eventually brings in Beast. Don't even worry about that. The goal of the Illuminati was to secretly confront the threat of incursions, parallel worlds colliding with each other. As Reed Richards put it, everything dies. Things go bad quickly, with members making more and more questionable moral decisions, from mind-wiping Captain America to willingly destroying other worlds. It all goes bad. T'Challa himself finds himself making these horrible moral decisions, and at one point, the Dora Milaje, they eventually leave him when they tell Shuri that T'Challa's been working with Namor, the enemy of Wakanda. Once again, it shows you that the Dora Milaje are loyal to Wakanda, not to T'Challa, which I think is an important thing that writers have been doing with these characters. In the middle of this, Thanos shows up for the Infinity event, looking for his son, along with the Black Order, trying to take over the world. On first attempt, they're beaten back by Shuri, T'Challa, and the armies of Wakanda. But a second attempt, thanks to the betrayal by Namor, and thanks to the Black Order bringing the full brunt of the invasion onto Wakanda, the Golden City finally breaks and falls. Shuri sacrifices herself, handing T'Challa back the title as king, and forces him to escape to fight another day. This all leads to Secret Wars line-wide event, where Marvel Universe as we know it is basically destroyed due to incursions. T'Challa is one of the Life Raft members who survives the incursions and ends up in the world created by Doctor Doom. Well, again, Secret Wars is really still, again, more of a Reed and Victor story. We still get some badass moments here for T'Challa. One of the moments basically being him wielding the Infinity Gauntlet and going toe-to-toe with God Doom. Like I said, it's pretty fucking badass. When the world is reformed and reset, T'Challa is one of the handful of characters that remembers everything that happened before. And that takes us to the Coates era of Black Panther, which is the current era. Look, I'll say it right now. To me, the Coates stuff is basically a combination of Priest and Hickman. Coates took a lot of the political thriller aspect of Priest's early run and added the importance of women around T'Challa and had them be the focus of running Wakanda. I think he also, instead of like nuking everything that Priest did, he's trying to fold it in and try to fix some of the problematic things. And then his writing style is also kind of like a lot of Hickman. We're going to do a comic book club on Coates' run later on, but that's the basic gist of what's going on with Coates' stuff. There's also the 6-issue World of Wakanda series, written by Roxane Gay, which follows 2 former members of the Dora Milaje, Ayo and Anika. This gives more background on these women, their love for each other, and Wakanda as a whole. But that's not the only time you get to see T'Challa in this. I would really like to point out that Al Ewing's Ultimate Run is pretty damn good, and it features T'Challa. It's basically T'Challa helps form the Ultimates, a group of extremely smart and talented people who they solve the world's problems. The first problem they go to solve, Galactus. Yeah, we're going to solve the hard problems of the world. We're going to solve first, fucking Galactus. It's fucking amazing. It's a dope series. I wish more people read it. And at one point, we get T'Challa using one of his aliases, the one I love the most, Luke Charles, and it's hilarious. It's a really great team. It has a lot of, I think there's only one white character on the team. It's Captain Marvel. You have America, you have Blue Marvel, you have Spectrum, Monica Rambeau, and then you have T'Challa. Like, it's a really good, like I said, if you haven't read the Ultimate series, you should definitely read that. It's great. So check that out. Well, there you guys have it. That is the quick recap of Black Panther and T'Challa and Wakanda. Like I said, I skipped over a lot of stuff. I try to condense it all in there. It's a lot of history here to go in. Definitely go back and listen to our Character Corner. We go into way more detail. And when you get to, like I said, right at the end of, I guess, Volume 5 and get into New Avengers and that Hickman stuff, like, check out the Black Panther Character Corner, the one on the third part of our Doctor Doom Character Corner. And then if you become a premium member, you can sign up for and listen to our comic book clubs, and we go through that entire new Avengers run up to Secret Wars. And yeah, there's a lot. Like I said, Jonathan Hickman, he's a madman. And I say that in with all the love in the world. It's amazing. So definitely check that out. So again, folks, I hope you guys like this. If you like, please subscribe, hit the notify button so you know when next time we're going to have a video coming out. we see Black Panther next week to review. So our review will hopefully be out next Tuesday. And yeah, guys, see you guys later. Thank you, guys.